Hey, this is Christina with our first video recording. Hopefully we'll get the hang of this. So I related a lot to the readings in student development in college, a little more so than in our other book. Just a couple things to get off the bat that I thought related really nicely to our athletic advising. It talks off, first and foremost, with there are two different kinds of theories. People that believe students are the same across all eras, and then that students change based on the changing times and their different circumstances. And I definitely agree with the latter, that students are a product of their environment, and changing environment means changing students. A few of the people that stood out to me, Nevitt Sanford, who was the guy who first investigated the relationship between college environment and changing from the adolescent to adulthood stage. And I think that really relates with our freshman athletes, because that is the stage they're in. You know, they're coming fresh out of mom and dad's roof into college dorm life, and on top of it, they're involved in the athletic culture, and all of these different things are going to be sort of molding their social identity. And I think it's important to keep in mind that their environment, is going to form who they are. And so I think in order to interact with them in the most impactful way, we need to understand how their identity is being formed. So with the social identity theory, and it talks about that we have to understand students from different backgrounds. And I think that although we know that and it sounds common sense, I think it's important to read this and really be forced to stop and reflect, because, for example, being a Christian white female from the middle class, I need to be able to relate with people who are on all different ends of the spectrum, from, upper class, lower class, different races, a different sexual orientation. And I think it's important to realize that we have to be able to interact and understand where people are coming from, even if we haven't come from that place. And so when we are student affairs practitioners and we need to work with students from totally different backgrounds, we have to realize where they come from in order to just have the best relationship and foster the most, meaningful interactions with them. And I think that although it seems easy, like I said, in common sense, I think we need to proactively be aware of where people came from in order to build a more meaningful relationship. Page 26 talks about the value of using theory, and I just think we need to remember why it's important, because, it says without it, student affairs is neither effective nor efficient, and we need to realize what is making our students the way they are and how we can wiggle our way into that process to make it a more positive outcome for them. I really liked the interactionist perspective equation where it said behavior is a function of the person and the environment, and I think that's so true. And it also mentions that not every person is going to have the same experience in the same environment. And, two of our freshman athletes might both be on the golf team, both coming from similar backgrounds, but will have totally different experiences here at UNCW. And I think we need to realize that people's behaviors are also going to be, just somewhat innate sometimes in their own personal attributes. And the last thing from this book I liked was how, page 34, it said Holland has 6 personality types defined: realistic, investigative, artistic, social. I think it's important we recognize what kind of person we are so that we can realize how to better interact with people from a different personality type. And I think that in our career, we need to have such a strong set of interpersonal skills, because if we can't communicate effectively, we ultimately don't have a chance of being successful in this, because it's all about the relationships we can foster with these students and sort of figuring out how to relate to them. So I think these are things that we actually really do need to research into to have the best outcome. From this book, the only thing that really stood out to me a ton was this model and how it sort of tied in the other readings, the multiple dimensions of identity model, with your core being in the middle, and then your race and class and sexual orientation being on the outside. Just remembering that all of those factors are going to come into play, and we have to remember that we're going to interact with people who are on different ends of the spectrum from us. Um, my athletic advising experience is going well. The girl I'm working with right now is very receptive to me helping her, and I think that, these readings are actually helping me understand maybe why her demeanor or why her interactions with me are what they are, is that she's right now forming her social identity, with her dorm mates and her athletes and everything else that's going on. And I think this stage in their life is so crucial for them, and I think that we might actually, play an important role in pushing them in the right direction with not just, academics, but with their personal life, because you can tell this is a little bit of a nervous stage for them, trying to figure out who they are in the midst of all the, craziness freshman year. So I look forward to your video posts, and thanks for listening.